Hi, my name is Brittany Harris and I'm the Marketing and Development Manager at Waterwells for Africa. We're here on October 21st, 2025. We're on our annual site inspection tour where we come and visit as many wells as we can and get to meet the people and hear their stories. Today we're in Kaluwa village in Mangochi district, and we are here to dedicate this well to Ethan Galstad and Nagios Enterprises. So we have a plaque here and it reads, "Thank you Ethan Galstad and Nagios Enterprises. Your generosity will change the lives of thousands." I had the honor of getting to talk to the water committee and hear just a little bit of their story. This village, we actually surprised them a little bit and we showed up kind of unannounced, but they came out and gave us their story, and so many people came and it was so fun. We've had such a fun time, made some new friends, but this water well was put in 6 months ago on April 18th, 2025. It is 36 meters deep. The water committee is made up of 6 women and 4 men. There's 100 families that use this water well along with 2 other villages. So there's a lot of people that are being impacted by this gift of clean water. So a lot of these people, they used this shallow well. It's literally right here. It's a hole in the ground that they would use for other purposes other than drinking water. So they would use it for farming, bathing, different things like that. But the problem with the shallow well was that they'd find snakes in the well. The children were not able to go in the well. You know, it was too deep for the children, so they wouldn't allow the children to really get close to it. And then along with that, they had to use a rope to put the bucket down into the well, and sometimes the rope would snap and they wouldn't be able to get their bucket back up. For drinking water, they would go to a well that was pretty far, and all these people would go there, and they said that it was very congested because not only were the 100 families that are here using this well using it, but other villages over there were using it too. So it was super congested, and fights broke out pretty much on the daily. Some ladies came from far on bicycles, both to that water source and this water source, to get water. And they said that, waterborne illness wasn't necessarily a thing because they were still getting clean water, but the distance was the challenge. So some of these ladies were coming from even further and they'd be using bicycles to come. Like my friend Annie right here, she rode up on her bicycle and she had her buckets ready to go. And she's awesome. She said that she was part of the fighting at the water well, right? Can you show us your stance? Fighting? Yeah, just like that. She was a winner, as we would say. So, anyways, we strive to bring water to people who need it. And one of the things that we see a lot of times, there's a lot of other organizations, not water well specific, but organizations that are coming out and will make promises and try to encourage them to thrive in a different way. So they said there's actually other organizations that came out to this village and were encouraging them to farm. But the problem is they didn't have water. So these organizations were giving them seeds and different resources in order to be able to farm, but then they couldn't do it. But now they have a flourishing village garden over here that they are growing too many crops to count. They're growing mustard, they're growing Chinese, they're growing tomatoes, okra, and many more. I mean, Paul was giving me a list and I couldn't even write them all down. There were so many. Along with that, they have livestock here. And I saw literally a herd of goats walking by and I was like, "Are these your goats?" And they were like, "Yeah." And so I asked them about their goats. They said that it was a big challenge beforehand. If they wanted to do anything with growing the amount of livestock they had, it was a challenge because of water. But now they're able to grow the amount of livestock they have. So, for example, my good friend Annie right here, she has 45 goats now. 45. She had 8 before this water well, and now she's got 45, and she wants to have 100 goats, right?
Yes.
She wants 100 goats. It's awesome. And Annie also was telling me about how many buckets of water she would get. So like I said, she was one of the ones that rode up on the bicycle. She said before she would go to the other water well, she would get 3 buckets a day. But now with this water well, she gets 10. That's a big difference.
Yes.
That's a huge difference. So a lot of the other women were saying they would get 3 as well, but now they're able to get as many as they want whenever they want, and that's a huge difference. Everywhere we go, we ask about child education because we know that water is the root cause for a lot of issues that come with child education. Kids are, primarily going out with their moms or their dads and having to fetch water, but that impacts their education. So they said in terms of kids, they would fetch water as early as 4 a.m., but that was when everybody in this village, everybody from the other villages at that well were going to fetch water. And so there was a lot of congestion. So these kids actually would wait for a very long time to get water, and then they would end up being late to class and most likely would be sent home because they were late. Sometimes they would even fall asleep in class because they were waking up so early to get water and they were so tired. And so school performance was down. But now 100% of their kids are going to school on time. So you see all of these kids, there's probably so many more, but you can see all these kids, they are going to school and they're going on time, and they said their school performance is so much better. And lastly, family harmony is, they are at peace. Families are at peace now. They said that men were sometimes required to go get water, and because it was so far, so women and men were kind of balancing both. And when women would go, they would have to wait in line for a really long time, but men, this is primarily what we see gender roles here in Malawi, but men would kind of get top priority, so they'd go and they would be back super fast, but the women, when they were there, they'd have to wait for water, and that would cause tension in family. But now they said they can do their household chores on time, and they also said, the men said they want their wives at home, and so that was causing marital disputes. But now families are healthier and stronger, right? Stronger because of this water well. So we want to thank Ethan Galstad and Nagios Enterprises for your generosity and partnership. Thank you for entrusting us. And we would like to thank you in the way that only we can here in Malawi.